winner, Jonathan Kissel, to the stage.
Thank you, Allison. The Werner-VonderHaar-Bogart Award, or the WVB, is named after three of Cincinnati's outstanding public relations leaders, William Werner, Edward Vonderhaar, and Judith Bogart, all of whom served as president of the Cincinnati chapter and PRSA National. The WVB Award recognizes an individual who has made significant contributions to the Cincinnati chapter and our national society, to our public relations profession, and to our greater Cincinnati community. This year's recipient exemplifies all the merits of the award and then some. Pamela Gilchrist Corson, APR, got her first taste in the PR and news business while attending Western Michigan, where she was a reporter at the Kalamazoo Gazette and Western Record. This taste in PR catapulted a career that includes experience in the agency and corporate world. Then, 20 years ago, Pam's entrepreneurial spirit kicked in, and she launched PR Link Public Relations LLC. Rebranded in 2010 as Gilchrist Group, her work as an independent practitioner has garnered numerous awards, including many right here at the Blacksmiths. Within PRSA, Pam has dedicated countless hours, numerous days, many years, to improving our chapter and society, serving on boards and leadership teams in many capacities, including National Assembly Delegate, Guest Speaker, APR Course Leader, UC PRSA Advisor, and many, many other opportunities where she has served our chapter. Her positive impact reverberates throughout the public relations profession, and she has probably touched many of us in this room as well, including myself. But I don't want to stand up here and talk all about Pam. I would like to invite two special guests to the stage who can share a few remarks about Pam. I'd like to invite Dustin DeShera and Cindy Fay. Dustin is an owner of the Chick-fil-A in Florence on Mall Road. And Cindy Fay is an account executive at WCPO. I'll invite Dustin up first. Dustin, I'll maybe see you this Saturday morning. Coffee with the kids.
You and all your friends would love to see you. So thank you. It's certainly an honor for me to be able to share these comments about Pam. And so first time I met Pam, she was working for another client, and they had sponsored an event where I was leading the event, and her client was the title sponsor of the event. And I remember being blown away at how they showed up and how they activated at that event. And because of Pam's talent, I thought Pam was an employee of her client. And I remember like telling her, hey, I need some help with this, and she said, oh yeah. She never got back to me, but that's okay. I don't know if you remember that, but that's okay. But because of her talent, I thought she was an employee, not just a contractor. And that's just how Pam rolls. She completely embodies those with whom she works. So professionally, she's the cream of the crop. She is savvy with media, she's wise with relationships, and she is a detailed executor. My colleagues and I, we often reflect on how good we have it that Pam is on our team, and we do, often. She provides so many competencies for us that we, as a group of operators here in Cincinnati, collectively lack. Internally, one of the phrase we use is called second mile service, and it's a phrase that we use to train our team to deliver value to our guests that goes above and beyond what they pay for or what they expect. Pam is one of the best examples of second mile service I've ever encountered. She cannot help it. It is in her nature to overgive, and it pours out into every channel with which she is engaged. Unfortunately, though, her journey with us as a client hasn't been all chocolate and roses. In fact, you could probably describe it as uphill. It's been an uphill journey. But what that did give me, as someone who was engaged with her along the process, was a front row seat into how she faces and deals with adversity. What became very apparent about Pam throughout our relationship with her is the very thing that will, I think in the end, truly matter. Companies will come and companies will go. Brands will rise and images will be destroyed. There will be public triumphs and there will be personal failures. It's going to happen. However, when all is said and done, I believe we will all be measured by just a couple of things. I think our character and how we cared for people along the way how we will be measured. This year, in 2019, our local brand of Chick-fil-A, we had one of the biggest PR crises that we've ever experienced with one of our partners. And in the midst of the panic, in the midst of the anger, in the midst of the anxiety of the crisis, Pam's character and her care for other people shined so bright. Her immediate response was not to our brand or to her job, but it was to care for people. She dropped what she was doing and she rushed in personally to ensure that our people who were on the ground, that were on the front line of this crisis, were being cared for and ensure that they were comforted and exited out of the situation very carefully. In the end, I think this is what matters. It is her character that drives her to care. In the last 5 years, since I've known her, I've seen her walk through personal setbacks. I've seen her walk through challenging financial situations, debilitating physical pain, incredible disappointments, and unwarranted opposition. Through it all, she was a constant lover of God and lover of people. She has kept the main thing, the main thing. And it is for this that I think qualifies her for this honor. So, I don't know if this is appropriate, but join me, raise a glass in honor to Pam Gilchrist Corson. Cheers.
Good evening. I had the honor of meeting Pam for the first time about 4 or 5 years ago through a mutual friend and colleague. We became fast friends over coffee and conversations at lunch, and then that turned into potential business conversations later. Well before she became a friend of mine, well before she became a client of mine, she became a friend of mine. In the days since we've met, we've had many adventures together. Behind the scenes, setting up tables and preparing to feed hundreds of folks chicken sandwiches a day to dream. Leading a mascot cow through crowded Cyclones hockey games or along a parade route of Reds opening day. Stacking boxes of stuffed plush cows on our dining room tables, and many projects, campaigns, and initiatives in between. And as any of you can understand who truly know her, her passion is relentless. Her creativity is unparalleled, and her commitment to her friends, her colleagues, her work, and her clients is unceasing. There are often times an email or a text message I've sent will be answered overnight, likely between the hours of midnight and 3 a.m., with my reply again back to her in the early morning. Yet, not only are the business tasks at hand important to her, she also lets you know how very much the relationship and your friendship are equally significant too, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm excited for the opportunity to be part of Celebration honoring Pam tonight. Her leadership, her integrity, her attention to the details, her drive towards excellence, creativity, and commitment in our industry, and to her work are truly inspiring. She allows me to stretch and reach higher every day in my work and creativity, and for that I am grateful. Pam, with our congratulations on this well-deserved award tonight, and for the work that you have achieved throughout your career. You are truly an inspiration to each of us. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, members of PRSA, please join me in congratulating our 2019 Werner-VonderHaar-Bogart Award recipient, Pamela Gilchrist.
Thank you, Dustin and Cindy. Wow, I'm inspired myself, and you're sharing things that I might not have shared, but we're open. We're among friends and colleagues this evening, right? This is a long, long way for a shy, dyslexic, rural girl from Gobles, Michigan. I truly was a child of the corn. And I'm not kidding when I say that. I was literally surrounded on one side by a small lake, a woods, and lots of cornfields. So for me to get to my neighbors, that meant the fastest way was to swim across the lake, take a boat. You really didn't want to have to go through the corn to get there. My little town that I grew up in does not even have a stoplight. There were about 60 people in my high school graduating class. So this is quite an honor to be recognized this evening. I had big dreams as a young person. I thought I would be the first female Elton John. Maybe Lady Gaga. But that wasn't to be. I set off to the School of Music at Western Michigan University. I was in a performing group, and they asked me if I would also serve on the PR committee. I had no idea what PR was, but I said, sure, I'll give it a whirl. And that was the first year that our show at an arena, kind of like the Aronoff here in Cincinnati, made a profit. So the next year they asked me to join the board. Of course, success begets success, right? So I said sure to that. I was listening to all of my fellow piano majors in the practice rooms around me with their Tchaikovsky and Rachmaninoff concertos, and they were more proficient than I was. I had more of a penchant for jazz and blues myself, kind of smoky clubs. So, Billy Joel says that he doesn't have the hands of a piano player, that his hands are kind of short and stumpy, but I think he's done okay along the way. I still play piano to this day, but I have found my profession in public relations. And I'm very, very grateful to be part of this organization. You guys have a wonderful organization here in PRSA with all of the APRs. Having served as a teacher and instructor at Xavier and UC and NKU. I used to have Steve Kissing come to my class. My students would complain, they would say, your class is hard. And I said, PR is hard. Right? So Steve would always get up and talk to them a little bit, and do you remember what you would tell them?
I'm afraid to ask.
Steve would say, it might be hard, but it's clean indoor work. At least you're not out digging ditches. So many of them have gone on. Barb Grimsley is a chapter leader. Kate Marks is at Humana, and she says I inspired her love of feature writing. Tom Demaropoulos at the Business Courier. So a lot of folks have been my students at one point in time. PR is an unpredictable path, isn't it? You're never sure what a day is going to bring for you. It's always exciting, it is always changing. I remember calling my mom, who's sitting right there. She came up from Florida, so say hi, Mom. I remember calling her after my first day taking a job at a Fortune 500 insurer in Pennsylvania, and I said, I don't think I'm going to make it 2 weeks with this guy. He was from New York, quintessential New Yorker, brash, ballsy, egocentric, and was copying quite the attitude. And I think he had it in for me. So I don't know if I was crying, but I was pretty miserable. I'm like, I'm gonna be heading back to Columbus any day now because I don't think this is gonna work out. A few days after I started, we were on the road doing media training across the country. I was supposed to observe. He had hired a freelance radio reporter to serve as the
the intense 60 minutes aggressive journalist who was going to give these insurance agents a run for their money with the questions. After the first interview, he went up to her and had a few little words on the side, and she looked a little shook, and he says to me, "She's not being aggressive enough, she's not intense enough, she's not getting in their face with these questions. We want this to be a meaningful experience for them." Okay. By the second interview, he had the same conversation. Before lunch, he pulls me aside and he says, "I don't think it's gonna work out with her. How would you feel about stepping in?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's not working out with her and you think it's gonna work out better with me?" Apparently it did work out. I was there for 5 years. We traveled the country doing media training for executives instead of the Speakers Bureau across the country. That brash, ballsy gentleman who I didn't think I would get along with became one of my best mentors of my entire career. He taught me about corporate politics. He taught me how to navigate the corporate world and showed me a lot of things that this girl from a small town would not have otherwise understood. It wasn't long though before that was put to the test. You know, sometimes when the paper comes out and you hear people whispering in the hall and you've got the headline the size of dead presidents and people tombstoned, the CEO and another female senior vice president tombstoned across the front of the paper, you know it's going to be a challenging day. So they were kicked out in an internal coup, and that was probably my biggest crisis communications. Dustin and I, we've had a few challenges, but this one was extra special. So CEO was out. That meant that the CFO, who did not like human contact, he preferred to sit behind multiple screens at his desk and monitor the markets of this multi-billion-dollar company and never really talk to people. It's his turn to step up, right? So I had very little time to gain his trust and gain his confidence, do some speech writing for him, do some presentation coaching for him, and get him out in front of stakeholders, shareholders, and employees to let them know that their future was secure with this new CEO. So you never know what a day in the life of public relations is going to bring you. It's at best unpredictable. But one thing that Dustin mentioned and Cindy mentioned is it's all about care, it's all about humanity, it's all about building relationships with people. So we have enough data in the palm of our hand now that we can solve most of the problems in the world. What we can't solve is the loneliness and the need for care that our world needs. PR people have a unique opportunity to build relationships in the community with your employees and with your stakeholders. I would encourage you to do that. Our founding father of PR, Edward Bernays, called the practice the applied social science, and I truly believe it is. That's one of the things that attracted me to it. Now we have enough data that we can significantly measure behavioral sciences in a way that we were just kind of doing that a little bit in the past. So we are able to measure, and your success will be measured and awarded tonight with the Blacksmith Awards. There's a lot of cognitive bias in the world right now as well. It's difficult to change people's perceptions, but we are better able as PR professionals to construct narratives that move people toward empathy. So I want to give you a couple of things to consider. Cognitive laziness can lead to acceptance of misinformation. Cognitive laziness reduces cognitive dissonance and increases your confirmation bias. So you're just hearing things in your own echo chamber rather than breaking down walls and talking with people. The news media, as you know, also frames an agenda, accurate or not. And anxiety can lead to poor decision making. These are the stressful times that we are living under. So as the lines between PR and marketing continue to blur, I think there is a key difference. PR is a harder path. It's our chosen path, and every day I'm reminded how exciting and dynamic it really is. To be successful, you've got to know your fundamentals and be agile as a cat on a hot tin roof. As we celebrate tonight, there is the best and the brightest represented in this room, and I'm so happy to be celebrating with you. Social media. Some of you are tweeting or Instagramming or posting, or you're going to get pictures to post as we speak, has both united and fragmented our society. The human race is more connected than ever, and we have the world in the palm of our hands, but we're also very lonely. So use your social channels for good. Break out of the echo chamber, break down the walls. As PR professionals, we're uniquely positioned to use communications for good. Take people beyond the gram and into relationships. Change the tone and influence the conversation. And I hope that we will all do that today and forevermore. Express care first, listen more than you speak, seek to understand others, and together we can break down walls and build each other up. Cindy and Dustin, thank you so very, very much for your words. It means an awful lot to me. Success isn't achieved alone, it's achieved with team and with family. And my success isn't alone. My husband Glenn is sitting back there, and we just celebrated our 21st year of marriage. We met on the internet before it was cool. It was almost dial-up. He's my best friend, my biggest supporter, my sounding board, my cheerleader, and I'm stronger because of him. I'm extremely blessed to have him as my partner by my side. And my mom, tonight I'm very honored that she's visiting with us and sharing this evening with me. She made a special trip from warm, sunny California up here to very chilly Cincinnati to be here. Much of what I learned about public relations, I probably learned about at age 6 when she started a preschool and daycare to give me something to do, basically, because she didn't know what to do with me. So from creating project plans and craft calendars and talking to potential parents on the phone, a lot of those skills that I learned with her as an entrepreneur, I have carried through my career. And I thank you, Mom. I appreciate everything that you've done for me and for all of this support. I want to give glory to God. He has seen me through, as Dustin has shared, some triumphs and some travails, the peaks of the mountain and the valleys, and he is always there to support and take care of me. I want to encourage you guys to always stay curious, promote civility in all that you're doing, and have a positive impact on others. I have just a little golden nugget. What would it be if I didn't mention Chick-fil-A, right? For you guys to take with you tonight. Chick-fil-A founder Truett Cathy once said, "Nearly every moment of every day, we have the opportunity to give something to someone else. Our time, our love, and our resources." You guys are all spectacular. Tonight we're honoring the best of the best. Optimize your outcomes, leave a positive impact, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so very, very much.